So today here we're at Fordam University in Midtown Manhattan. I'm with Dr. James Fisher, Professor of Cultural History at Fordham U. And we're here to talk about, for our profile series, we're here to talk about Andy Beyer and his contribution to racing. It's great to have you here today, Jim.
Okay, good to see you, Chaz.
So anyway, Beyer, everybody knows his great contribution to the sport, which was popularizing speed figures and then also in subsequent books synthesizing the interpretation of speed figures with trip handicapping. What else has Andy Beyer really kind of given us as a sports writer, longtime sports writer at the Washington Post?
I think Beyer, he combined, he linked the Damon Runyon tradition to the Ivy League. You know what I mean? He's an interesting character in that way, and that he had both this kind of rakish quality, like he was a gambler for one thing. He wasn't somebody who was aloof from the main preoccupation most people have with the sport, but he also had this very cerebral dimension, very analytical intelligence. His father was a college professor. Beyer was apparently a Harvard dropout. He went to the I guess he went to the Derby maybe instead of going to a final exam, but he always had a certain kind of intellectual dimension which was appropriate, I think, for a new generation of horse players that was coming into age in the 1970s and 1980s.
Well, when we were growing up, actually there was a guy by the name of Tom Ainsley who had written about handicapping and was kind of like the quintessential loner at the track. Do you see that Beyer kind of fits that realm, or does Beyer break out of that in any way?
Beyer's unusual. I think he combined all those things. He spent all the time, he did all the solitary handicapping work and the speed figures, but he was, in fact, a kind of a legendary figure. You know, one of the tracks, he put his fist through a wall when a horse of his lost, and they framed it, they called it Beyer's Wall. You know, he was on some PBS type documentaries about the state fair circuit up in New England. In other words, like the lore of racing and the characters and the chicanery. And of course, his great line is everybody has a bit of larceny in their soul. He really kind of reconciles that kind of, again, that kind of Damon Runyon style 1930s, 40s, 50s when racing totally dominated. And then in the 1970s, when racing again enjoyed a kind of a golden age, Beyer emerged as a kind of a modern day equivalent of those characters. And he's endured the ups and downs in the sport since that time, mostly, I think, because, in fact, he is a very reliable source of extremely valuable information, which gave a lot of horse players an edge that they'd never enjoyed before.
Okay, Jim, thank you very much for being with us, and we'll be back with you.